The camera is twisted, so I'm just gonna, it's like leaning slightly to the left. So I'm just gonna lean slightly to the left to make it seem like it's not twisted. I have another Creators Diary vlog filmed and ready to go, but I thought I would make this first since you've asked it a question. I would make this one first since you've asked your questions. I'm really happy to have gotten a bunch of questions, so thank you a lot for that. I mean, there's not an insane amount of them, but there's a perfect amount so that I can answer all of them and still have like a decently long video. The first question I got came through Tumblr. Oh, actually this is a couple of questions by the same person. And they say, for the Q&A, what surprised you the most about working on the TV show? What advice would you have for someone who wants to break into acting professionally, and if you could play a character on any show, what show would you be on? What kind of character would you play? I'm sorry if I'm a bit off and not high in energy, because I am getting ill. So the first question is, what surprised you the most about working on the TV show? This is gonna sound a little bit sad, but it's not as sad as it sounds. And I guess surprised might be the wrong word. I was just like, I was happily surprised, I guess. Or I was happy to notice that, because I often have this experience where when I enter new social groups or like a working place or a new school or a new project or whatever, it gets a bit heavy after a while, which is normal, obviously. Like everything feels like heavy every now and again, even if you enjoy it a lot. But in this context, I was happy to find that I was as content doing it as I imagined I would be. Like, I didn't expect it to be perfect or anything. Nothing's all perfect all the time. But I really enjoyed doing it. I was very happy in that working environment among those people socially and doing the work itself. And it's not like I was surprised that I liked it, because obviously I expected to like it. But I was, I guess, surprised that it was as good as I could have imagined it to be, kind of. But when it comes to the actual process, like different things that happen throughout the day and all that, I didn't really have any expectations, or that many expectations, because I knew that I don't know what making a TV show is like, strictly speaking. So I didn't really have that many expectations. I guess one thing that surprised me was when I realized that we were gonna be on set, like there was a built set in a studio rather than filming in a building. But like, it makes sense. Like the minute I realized that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's dumb of me to not think of that, because it's not like this empty hotels lying around in Helsinki that you can just film in. So the next one is, what advice would you have for someone who wants to break into acting professionally? I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know if I'm the right person to give anyone advice about breaking in to the business. I mean, I've been in one professional show that hasn't come out yet, so I don't know. I mean, it could be that I never work again. I mean, not that, but it could be that the show doesn't do very well and then I'll have to figure out another job. Like, I haven't broken into the business yet. It's too early to say that. When it comes to getting a role, I guess, this is gonna be really basic. And I don't think I have anything new to say that you haven't heard before. Provided that this is your first video about professional acting that you've watched on YouTube, which would be weird, but it could be. First of all, keep trying. You need to keep trying, because the fact that you're rejected from a project hasn't, most of the time, has very little to do with your skill level. First of all, there's your acting skill, and then there's the people's vision of the character. Sometimes your vision or your strengths as an actor don't cater to the character or the project that you're auditioning for. It could be that they don't have a very clear idea, or like they're very open-minded as to what they want from a character or a project, but somebody else's they just like more. Or it could be that there's that you just don't fit into the entirety of the cast. Like if there's a core group of people, there just might be, it might not be that you individually are not what they're looking for. You could have done a really good job, but still the full group matters more than the individual actor, and therefore if they found a better group of people to work together, not just like as actors, but as like their strengths support each other as actors, they're gonna go with that combination, if that makes sense. Like there's so many things that affect the end result that have nothing to do with your talent or skill or performance as an individual actor. Of course, if you can get feedback, always ask for feedback, and there's always things that you can improve, I'm sure, but also don't be discouraged by being rejected. It's so much easier said than done, because everybody gets discouraged when they're rejected. And another reason you should keep trying is that the more you audition, the more you learn how to audition, which is also an advice that I have gotten and I hated, because I was like,
I don't want to know how to audition. I want to get a part, and I want to get it now because I'm 19 years old, and in 2 years I'll be too old to ever be a professional actor.
Like I hear myself and I hear how dumb that is, but also I feel myself, because like that did not come out right. I understand why I felt that way, because I kind of still feel that way. Like there is such a hurry to be in the entertainment business. I felt that the past year that I spent in school, where I got to audition a lot, like it was low threshold auditioning, I don't know if you can say that in English, but there wasn't a lot of pressure in the sense that it was a school project. I could walk in, I didn't have to pay to audition, and if I didn't get the part, it was gonna be like a school play. Like it didn't determine my career very much whether or not I got a part. I figured out, I learned a lot about what my personal process is for the audition process, what I need to do and how I need to prepare in order to do my best. Whether that best matches what the people want, or whether or not I fit the character or their idea of the character the best, is a whole different thing. But I learned to prepare for auditions in a way that is good for me, and I feel like that's only the kind of thing that you can learn through trial and error. So keep auditioning, don't give up, because being rejected doesn't mean that you're untalented or can't be an actress or an actor. And keep auditioning, because that's the only way you can learn to audition. I feel really stupid, kind of, giving advice to people when I don't feel like I'm in a position to give advice to people. But from my limited experience, and in my particular personal case, this is what I have found to be the case. Great, great. If I could play a character on any show, what show would you be on? What kind of character would you play? I'm trying to think of a show that's on right now that I would like to be on. I would like to be on an episode of Black Mirror. I think that would be a really interesting challenge. I haven't really even watched that many episodes of Black Mirror, but I know it's good television, and that's always really cool. I would really like to do a role like Orphan Black, where you get to play multiple different characters. That's like the dream to me as an actor, to get to play multiple different characters in a show. That's so cool. I am very jealous of that person who plays the main role. That's another show I haven't watched, but I know what it's about loosely. I would love to be on Dear White People. And when it comes to the kind of character I would like to play, I used to think that I would love to be on Teen Wolf. I haven't watched Teen Wolf since season 4, and like most shows it's gone to shit since, but I feel like the look that I have as a person. I'm quite small and I have a young face and I'm a black girl. I feel like even though I do the kind of strong, low-key aggressive, especially passive aggressive, like characteristics quite well, I also do the kind of Disney princess, Anna Green Gables, daydreamer kind of things as well, and I feel like that combined to the way I look, being a black woman but also being a small childlike black woman, is a thing that I haven't seen on screen a lot. It's the same thing as Zuri on Black Panther. Like, we don't get a lot of multifaceted, carefree or like carefree black girls that have characteristics outside of being strong trademark or like low-key aggressive or like yelling all the time, if you know what I mean. So I would like to play a character that is has softness in her, because I feel like that's not the only kind of character I would like to play, but I feel like I want to see that and I want to do that as well. I want to play a black girl, a soft black girl, because we don't get those a lot. Thank you for your questions. Dearest dearest partner of greatness. Don't Be So Evil says, how are you finding the structure of filming? What is it to work with a professional team? So, by the way, I forgot to say in the beginning, we've now finished. We wrapped like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's over now. But at least I can speak about it as a whole now, because it's over. How am I finding the structure of filming? Well, the structure that I went through anyway, I would get a call sheet on Wednesday for the next week's shoots. I wouldn't work every day. The whole crew would work from Monday to Thursday, so it's a 4-day work week, because the days often are way longer than 8 hours. I would get a call sheet on the Wednesday, which would list, I would get the call sheet of the days that I would actually be working on. It would list all of the scenes, all of everyone's call times. It's basically a call sheet is a timetable. It tells you when everyone comes in, what scenes you're gonna do, when lunch is, when you're wrapping up and everything like that. And then there's a page that lists you your personal call time, so when you need to be on in makeup. Sorry. So I would show up for my makeups. Some days it would be like 7 in the morning, some days it would be like 1 p.m. Some days I would only do 1 scene, some days I would do 5 in a row. I learn my lines during free time. I go on set for my makeup, and then my makeup is scheduled usually like an hour or a few dozens of minutes before we need to be on set. I love this. This made me feel so like professional and cool that there's a person who like comes and gets me. Like, obviously I was completely capable of checking the time myself, but because there are delays and because sometimes we're early, there's a person that comes and gets you and makes me felt like taken care of. And she comes and gets you, and then you go on set, and then they're wrapping up the last scene, and once they've wrapped up the last scene, the previous scene, you go in and you read through the text, usually with the director. Then you rehearse a couple of times usually. Then you rehearse with the camera, so the camera guy the DOP even, gets to figure out what he needs to do during each shot. And then you shoot a couple of times. They change the lighting. They like set up a shot. They change the lighting, they frame it, they do everything, you shoot. Then you take a couple of different shots, so different kind of points of view. So you move the camera so the camera sees different things. It's often like the standard is that you see one character's face in a dialogue, you see one character's face and the other character's face at least, and then depending on what the director wants, some other things in the scene. And then that takes however many minutes, and then you move on to the next scene. You might have a break if you're not in the next scene. You might get to go home if that was your last scene. And then you go in, you change out of your clothes, which in my case is the uniform of the hotel most of the time. And you take your bag and you go home, and then you learn your lines for the next day or the next week or whenever. Another thing that I personally had to do, and I'm the only person with afro textured hair on set, with me and the hairdresser, instead of me coming in every morning and her doing my hair, because that's simply not how afro hair works, I would go in usually on Sundays, but sometimes some other days of the previous week. I would wash my hair at home, and then I would go in and she would put it on, like she would put twists in, and then on my first filming day of the next week she would open my hair, and then I would have that twist out for until the end of the week, and then we would do that again at the end, like do the next week's hairstyle again at the end of that week, and so on and so forth. So that's like an extra thing that I had to do. And I guess it's not really extra because other people have to have their hair done every day, so it's the same amount of time approximately, I would assume. But it's just that in my case it would be one day of the week that would be outside of the days that we shot on usually, instead of like a half an hour every morning or every day. The question is, how am I finding the structure of filming? And the answer is, I don't know. It is what it is. I honestly found it really interesting to see how it's arranged. Like, I found the call sheets interesting because I was like, this is cool. Because I have done production, like producing. But apart from that, I don't know how I found it. I was pretty neutral on it. It made me feel all cool because I had like a schedule, and people would come and get me from set, and people did my makeup, and like they did that thing where in between scenes the makeup artist rushes in and fixes your lips or moves your hair and stuff like that, just like in the behind the scenes materials that I used to watch as a kid. Sorry about that, I had to move the I had to check if I still had space in my camera. Let's hope so. Next question by the same person is, what is it to work with a professional team? What is it to work with a professional team is grammatically correct, but it's kind of a ambiguous question. So I'm just gonna assume it was supposed to say what is it like to work with a professional team. Cool. Like, I haven't been with a professional team, and obviously there's way more people in a professional team, but I've worked in a semi-professional environment. Like, all the projects I've done before, not all of them, but a lot of the projects I've done before, I have still had a sound guy and a camera assistant and a DOP and a director. Like, even though the team has been a lot smaller, the functions are still there. But with a professional team, there's a DOP and a camera assistant 1 who does the focusing, and a camera assistant 2 who does the clapping, whatever that's called in English. There's a sound guy, but there's also mic guys. There's 2 mic guys and a sound guy at least, and then there's a lighting crew, and then there's a secretary. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's the person who looks at the footage and tries to make sure that there are no mistakes between takes, so that like the strap of a bag is on the same shoulder in each take, so that there's no mistakes when you edit it together and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people there, but the functions of the team are essentially the same as a smaller project. It's just there's more people doing it with more detail. And I mean, the detail stuff is really cool. Outside of the windows, we have like canvases that have a picture of Helsinki, like a scenery of Helsinki outside of them. Like, I mean, the canvases have a scenery of Helsinki on them, and the canvases are outside of the windows, so that if by any chance the camera happens to pan past a window, it's not like there's a studio wall outside of the window. And I was making jokes about how the canvases are like, the scenery is shot from like above, as if you were on a higher floor. And I was joking about how it's funny that on the first floor of our hotel, the first floor of our hotel is not on ground level. And then somebody was like, yeah, that's because the hotel, like the building that this hotel is based on, is actually on a hill. Like, that's the level of detail that they have the resources to go into. Also, the people are really nice. Like, there's a lot of like bands with people on set, like the lighting guys and the DOP, and like you talk to everyone, not just the actors, which it's not like it was surprising, but it was just really fun. Like, I'm very fond of pretty much everyone who works there. Like, how, because I work at the reception, or my character works at the reception, and I would be like, hey, so hypothetically, if a person wants to like sign out of the hotel, like check out of the hotel, what would the process be? And the people have like come up with a system for it. Like, even though there's no real like program on the computer to do that with, they have figured it out so that you will consistently do the same things when you check people in or out. Like, it's cool, and people are so cool and nice and everything. I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun in the sense that I got to do acting, which I love, but also in the sense that I also like a lot of other aspects of production. Like, they're interesting to me and I like to do them as well. So it was all interesting and cool and nerdy. It was just cool. I liked it. Surprisingly enough, I enjoyed doing my dream job. Weathersby web series reviews asks, what have you discovered in your experiences with this process that you weren't expecting? I didn't have any like crazy expectations when I went into this. More like the things that surprised me or were against my expectations weren't like, oh my god, this is what happens kinds of moments, but more like, or like, cool. Because I was very aware that I don't really know anything about professional, that kind of a professional environment. Like, I had ideas, but I also knew that those ideas weren't necessarily based on reality or like actual experience. There are a few like smaller things. For example, I was really worried about my hair, because natural afro hair, black people or people in color in general, but especially women with natural afro hair, aren't very common in Finnish television. I can't remember seeing a single one. That doesn't mean that they haven't been there, but I'm pretty sure they haven't been there. We're not very common in the arts, in like in the film and theater industry in Finland, right? And I was worried when I went to that initial meeting with the person who designs the hair and the makeup, that they were gonna ask me to straighten it. My hair was blue at the end at the time, so I was worried that she would ask me to just chop the blue off, which would like significantly affect the way my hair looks. But I was worried that she wouldn't realize that because she doesn't understand afro hair. Like, the amount of times that people think that my hair is short just because it's like shrunken because it's really curly is crazy. I was worried that they would feel burdened by my hair and the different treatment that it requires.
Here's the infamous editing YouTuber adding something onto what they just said. Generally, I was worried that they would also find my hair, just aesthetically displeasing, and also partly because they wouldn't have known how to do my hair. They couldn't make it look the way they wanted, whatever that way was, and also therefore they would find my hair burdensome. Generally, I was really worried about seeming like a nuisance, because that is not a good reputation in an industry, or in general, it's just othering as well.
I wasn't really worried that they would have to want to have my hair like up all the time, because that's fine. I pretty much expected that. But what I was really thankful of is that I don't know what it's called, but the person who is in charge of designing the character's looks, like makeup and hair wise, she wanted my hair to be open from the very beginning. She really lobbied for it. And I'm really thankful of that, because first of all, it's nice to be appreciated and not be treated like a freak, but also I can't explain how much it means to me as a brown woman to be able to see hair that looks like mine, and in this particular case it's my hair, on television. And it like makes me choke up to think about all the little brown girls, Finnish girls, who like me have never seen themselves on television and will now be able to. I guess these things are not like things that I weren't expecting, they're more like things that I didn't dare to hope for. They're very positive things, if that makes sense. And it's not like I was like, oh, that's not gonna happen. But I was worried that they wouldn't happen, and was positively surprised and thankful when they did happen. Okay, that was it then. It's weird, and now I feel really sad, kind of, because, yeah, it's over now. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of people that I'm impossibly fond of. It was a good experience. And I'm just really thankful to be where I am right now. I hope I answered your questions. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. Send me a Tumblr ask. I'm probably not gonna do another Q&A right after it, but if there's any more questions that you would like to ask, I can answer them in the comments and on Tumblr, or I don't know, send me a Facebook message, like whatever. I keep hitting this thing and it drives me insane. If you wanna see more videos about my creative processes, the projects that I'm doing, like sneak peeks in the future, things and stuff like that, you should definitely subscribe. Also, this is my like main YouTube channel, so any possible like short film projects or poetry videos and shit like that I have not planned but will probably happen in the next 50 years will be on this channel. Like anything major will be on this channel, so you might as well subscribe in case that happens. If you don't want to subscribe in case it doesn't happen, you should follow me on Tumblr, because my Tumblr blog is where I also do updates every now and again. I have an Instagram, which is more of a casual thing if you want to hear from me even more often. And then I also have a Facebook page, which I do try my best to keep up to date, especially if you're from Finland and you would like to come and see me perform live somewhere. That's usually where I share those things the clearest. So follow my social medias, subscribe to this channel, like the video, leave a comment, do all of the things, butter up the YouTube algorithm so that more people will know my name and face. That's it for now. I have another Creator Diaries vlog filmed. It will take years and years to edit it, because it's 4 days worth of a lot of shit happening, but it will be very interesting, I can promise you, when it comes out. So I'll see you then. Bye.